In this reflection, we want to think about the fourth pillar of loving service, the loving service especially of those who are in need. Several years ago, I made a pastoral visit to Nigeria. We had some priests working in the diocese from a particular diocese in the eastern part of Nigeria, and I was invited to go and celebrate the ordination ceremony that year. So I had the great privilege of ordaining 14 men to the diocesan priesthood. Whilst I was there for a couple of weeks, I was introduced to various activities of the life of the church in that part of Africa and about the different health, education, social services that the church had introduced through its life. As we went from place to place, there was usually a religious ceremony, either Mass or a time of Vespers or morning prayer. And I noted that before the gospel was proclaimed, the people sang with great vibrancy a kind of anthem which had a repetitive strain to it. The priest who was travelling with me gave a translation of this anthem, and it went something like this: Praise to the gospel, for it brought us Jesus Christ. Praise to the gospel, for it recognised that girls also could be educated. Praise to the gospel, for it taught us to accept twins. I understand that at one point in the history of that part of Africa, one of the twins, when born, was usually put to death. Praise to the gospel, for it taught us to care for the sick and disabled. Praise to the gospel, for it helped us to accompany the dying. Praise to the gospel, for it honoured the place of women among us. Praise to the gospel, for it taught us to recognise the dignity of every human being. Those who preached the gospel had a profound impact on the local culture, because they not only stayed with the people, they learnt their language and their culture, but they also witnessed to the humanising nature of the gospel. This is at the heart of what it means to be a disciple who lovingly serves those who are less fortunate than ourselves. It is, of course, a direct mirroring of that washing of the feet that the Lord did on the night before he died. We often think that our active life of service is in tension with our inner life of contemplation and prayer. But we know that on the night before he died, this loving service that the Lord performed for his disciples was quickly followed by the time of prayer in Gethsemane and the offering of himself on the cross. The reality is that in both dimensions of our life, in our active loving service and in our personal prayer, we are seeking to encounter Jesus and to serve him. Matthew 25 makes this very clear to us. Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, naked, in prison, and minister to you? I tell you, the Lord says, insofar as you did this to one of the least of these my brothers and sisters, you did it to me. The Lord that we worship and adore in the Holy Eucharist and in prayer, we also encounter in the least of his brothers and sisters. Saint David, in his last address to his disciples, said, A gwynig e pithal becain, a welsog ac a glaisog genith. Do the little things well that you see me doing. We are, each of us, encouraged and challenged by the witness of another's life of service and generosity. We know that these individual acts of mercy and of charity, although they're very often performed in private, actually build up a community of love and of service. They build up in our family lives an attitude and disposition of self-sacrifice, not seeking only my own fulfillment and happiness, but recognizing that the deepest beatitude, the deepest happiness comes when I'm aware and serve another person. This was brought home very forcibly when I heard something about my own family history. In the 1920s, there lived a man in the west of Ireland who had a small fishing business, and also his family also ran a little shop. One day, an elderly couple in the village came to him. They said to him, "You've heard about our daughter Kate, how she has been widowed, lost her husband, and has been left with 5 children under the age of 7. This was during the time of the terrible pandemic following the First World War, when literally millions died across the globe. They said to this bachelor, whose name was Morchin, will you marry Kate out of mercy for the children?" We must recall this was at a time when there was no welfare state, no support system. He said to the elderly couple, "Well, I'm quite happy in my life, but out of mercy for the children, I will marry her." They then went to Kate, their daughter, and said, "We've approached, Morchin, who has a boat and a little business, and he's agreed to marry you. Will you accept?" You can imagine what it was like for her. She was still grieving the loss of her first love. But she said on reflection, "I will marry him out of mercy and love for the children." They got married and had a further 4 children. My mother was one of those. Each of these, my grandparents, were moulded by a Catholic Christian faith, which recognized self-sacrifice and laying your life down for the other. It touches me very deeply to remember that I am a fruit of the charity, of the mercy of my grandfather and my grandmother. My grandfather died before I'd grown very much, but my grandmother I knew quite well. And she used to say to us, my brothers and I, often, "When I married your grandfather, I didn't love him. I was still grieving the loss of my husband. But I grew to love him because he was a very, very good man." So in this pillar of loving service, we want to build families and communities where that sense of self-sacrifice, of laying our life down in charity and mercy for another, is part of who we are. It frames and indicates that we are disciples of Jesus Christ. As they said of the earliest disciples in the Acts of the Apostles, "See how these Christians love one another." It has been good these past years to discover the varieties of ways in which Catholics in the Archdiocese are engaged in various initiatives and projects of loving service. Food banks, homeless projects, the St Vincent de Paul Society, outreach to those with special needs. I've been particularly touched in my own life with the experiences of going to Lourdes with HCPT, the Pilgrimage Trust. Support of CAFOD, aid to the Church in need, Missio, for our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world who so often don't have many of the blessings that we have, and when we reach out to them, we are blessed through them. Apostleship of the Sea, and so many other initiatives and charitable outreach projects. We experience the Lord on the cross in these, his children who suffer. Their love and suffering, often their great joy, teach us how to live our faith in simple and practical ways. They show us the living body of Jesus Christ in his resurrected wounds, in which he manifests the depths of his love and his suffering. Our personal encounter with Jesus in prayer helps us to see him in those who are least. And when we meet him in them, we also want to seek him in prayer, to bring those whom we've encountered through our service into our prayer and hold them before our Eucharistic Lord. I want, therefore, for us to encourage and strengthen Caritas Cardiff-Menevia, which is our diocesan network which seeks to support and encourage practical initiatives of loving service at local level. This will include practical ways in which we can assist in the situation of refugees, in those caught up in the modern forms of slavery, or with initiatives which seek to care for our common home. I've been deeply moved to hear of the desire of parishioners across the Archdiocese to be involved in these different areas of loving service. Neither should we see this as a conflict with our desire for people to deepen their personal relationship with the Lord, or as a hindrance to sharing our faith. Perhaps there is a need for each of us to grow in confidence about our motivation for these loving acts of service, why it is we do them. For this too is part of sharing our faith. It is not a matter of proselytizing, of trying to compel somebody who doesn't believe in Jesus to start believing in him. But it is a matter of helping others and ourselves to see the intimate link between our personal life of prayer, our public acts of worship, and our loving service and care for our brothers and sisters. And now some reflection questions on this pillar. Many may feel we are at last on safer ground here. The loving service of others is something we may feel that we are better at and more comfortable with than evangelising. Is this so? And why might this be? How are they linked? When asked by a priest how many hours a day one should pray, Saint Teresa of Calcutta said, "Without God, we are too poor to be able to help the poor." Is this our personal experience? How could it become like this for us? how might we become better at linking loving service with prayer? Thank you.